Welcome to the middle of the African bush. I'm in search of leopards that were in this area on the sunrise safari. So hopefully we'll have some leopard luck this evening. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
So we're just having a look around where Karula and both Hosana and Shongile were on the sunrise safari. Unfortunately, no sign of them, so I'm just going to have a quick look a bit further down the Moati, see if their tracks come out. If not, I'm going to go have a walk up here, see if we can find them. Hopefully they haven't gone too far. I'm just trying to figure out where the closest water is, and it is probably Twin Dams, because I doubt they're going to go towards the Vuyatela, because there's a whole stack of inkahumas in between here and there. They could be just sleeping close by. You want to look carefully in all the shade. There's no tracks coming out into the river or crossing the river, so it's possible they are just resting up on the bank here somewhere. Now, if I was left, this looks like a good place to rest. What do you think, Fem? Lovely shade, nice big timbuti. So while we continue to look for leopards, let's go to Steph with an animal who's got spots a little bit bigger than a leopard's.
Good afternoon, and welcome to my car. I'm Steph, and Brian's on camera this afternoon. There, through the trees. Well, I'll go back to that in a second, but let me just first say hello to you. It's a balmy 90 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment. It's been a warm day. Not that I've noticed too much about it. I must be honest, I've been ensconced in my office since last we saw each other at the end of this morning's game drives. But before we speak too long, right, I was going to surprise you with what was hanging on the edge of this branch over here, and then it moved off. Have a look at this very dark giraffe that we've got here. This is a bull giraffe, a brunette bull giraffe. And he just moved off into the shade of another tree, looking for some leaves. And just isn't this the most bizarre creature that has ever walked this earth recently? In modern times, I'd consider some of the dinosaurs to be pretty bizarre myself, but then I suppose to a dinosaur, a giraffe would look just as weird. But just imagine, I can drive my car underneath this animal's belly, stand up straight. I wouldn't even brush his shoulders with the top of my head. Standing 15 to 18, no more than that actually. What's he? 5.5 meters times 3. So what's that? Yeah, 15 to 18 feet straight off the ground. And about as mature as a bull giraffe can get before they start to lose too much condition. And dark. Giraffe do get darker with age, but this is a dark giraffe. Some of them start off blonde and get a little bit darker. Others start off almost black. And he's just one of those creatures that are just that side of the dark spectrum. You can see using a prehensile tongue. Got a tongue 30 centimeters long. Uses it to stick into the trees and can even curl it so that he can strip branches off, and then brings the branch to the mouth, and as you see what he's doing over there, he rubs his lips along the branch. There you go. Look at that. And strips off the leaves. Very, very, very effective. Long pointy nose to try and get into the trees themselves, keeping the eyes and all the important bits away from thorns. So quite an effective feeder on the periphery of a tree. Look at that. Not common for male giraffe to eat anything off the ground. It's far more common for females to eat shrubbery off the ground. For male giraffe, they just mostly use the leaves. Just browsers, they just eat leaves. He's got a funny scar on his face. Completely round. I wonder where he got that from. That is unbelievably round. It looks like something almost man-made, like he bumped into a pipe or something. Now, giraffe bulls like this and of this age do carry a variety of scars from fighting and from mange. I see he's definitely got vestiges of sarcoptic mange on his neck. That's exactly what we're looking at right now. Those bald patches of skin were mange and then oxpeckers that would have kept the bleeding wounds open and have caused that intense scarring that you can see over there. Look there at his full height. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? Now, very, very difficult for me to give you an idea of how tall he is, but there between his chest, I could walk. I'm 6 foot, and I would walk between his front legs without my head even brushing between his legs. So give yourself an idea. His belly only starts where your door frame is right now, entering into the room where you're sitting. Isn't that incredible? Yes, Gene, all the way from North Carolina, stating that this is a tall, dark, and handsome giraffe. Absolutely, Gene. He's very tall. He's lost a little bit of condition, but I think that that's the season. I don't actually think that he's a giraffe past his prime. Giraffe, they carry a lot of weight in their chest and their hindquarters, especially adult bull giraffe like this. They fight with their chest and their shoulders, and then they hit each other with their heads. Their heads are like big maces, really, on the end of a long neck, generating some quite powerful swings of the head, and then using those knobs on top of their head. Not only the ossicones, which are the two horns, horn-like structures you see, but also that knob on the bridge of their nose. And also, when he turns his head, you'll see between his ears, on the back of his skull, he's got two more, there we go, you can just get them visual there, two more bumps or protrusions. There we go, nice clear view there. That is like a pair of brass knuckles. It just adds to the blunt force trauma that they can deliver to an opponent. And I haven't seen it myself, but I've seen footage of one male giraffe knocking another giraffe clean off his feet onto the floor. Generate some intense force with those heads. They don't use their heads for defense, so they don't smash their heads into lion. They use their feet. Have a look at those back legs. They very powerful muscles, very close to the hip, high up. And then they kick backwards with their back legs, very similar to how a horse or a zebra would. And just have a look at how long and much leverage is on there, ending in those very sharp hooves. I've watched a giraffe kick a hole into a steel plate, not a hole right through, but kick a dent into a steel plate with those hooves. And then the front legs that you're having a look at there, they trample. So giraffe can kick with their back legs and trample with their front legs. You can imagine all that weight from those big shoulders coming down onto those hooves. You're going to do some damage even to a lion. So definitely adequately provisioned out here for keeping themselves looked after and in good shape. Let's have a look at him there. It's a fairly decent sized tree that this giraffe is just making small. Only the African elephant stretches to as tall as this giraffe. To the tip of his trunk would be to where this giraffe can reach. And then, of course, the elephant having the added advantage of him being able to just push the tree down and making the leaves that are just out of reach back within his grasp. Just have a look at that tongue again. Let's see. He's now past some branches on the outside. He's now trying to strip branches from deeper into the tree and giving us another view of that very agile tongue of his. Tiffany, you've remarked on, or asked me a question really, on would giraffe break their necks when they fight? You know, Tiffany, I'm sure that they could actually damage their necks when they fight. For all the the massive amount of bone and sinew and muscle in their necks, they don't actually have a lot of muscle for the volume of neck space that their necks take. And I'm sure a well-timed punch of the head onto an exposed area of the neck could actually do some damage and dislocate or dislodge a vertebra. Why not? It seems completely feasible. Generally, they stand top to tail, and they loop their heads over their opponents, hitting them on the flanks, on the legs, and on the shoulders. They don't often, it's not like they run at each other and bump their heads together or try and smash their heads together. They use those heads of theirs to try and dislodge their opponent's footing and get their opponent to fall down. Contrary to popular belief, giraffes will lie down and sleep. They also lie down in a ruminating posture, very similar to a sheep or a goat or a cow, to ruminate every day. They will sleep completely sideways or horizontal. And they don't always die when they fall. It's possible for them to knock themselves unconscious and even kill themselves if they had to suddenly fall and their head gets whipped down onto the floor. But they do have enough muscle structure for that not to happen. Just have a look at, not only is that tongue very dexterous, but have a look at those lips. They're almost like fingers for you and I. Very, very, very adept at stripping the branches of those leaves. I've had the pleasure of feeling a giraffe's tongue and lips, and it's similar to a velvet-lined tractor type, if I were to liken it to anything. The lips are covered in this very fine fuzz, and they are about as hard as your car's tire or a tractor tire. They are just incredibly hard. Quite a sticky saliva. So Aaron, you've asked me what all the way from New Zealand, gee whiz. Good evening, Aaron. You've asked me what is my favorite fact about giraffe. I think if I were to mention one, let me decide here which one of all of them that I like. I like the fact that a giraffe has a net of capillaries just behind their ears. And what that does is it basically, instead of your blood or your circulatory system going from arteries to arterioles to capillaries, a giraffe in his neck goes from an artery to an arteriole, and just before it goes into the brain, it goes into a capillary again, and then back into an artery. And what that does is it creates a blood pressure sponge before the blood goes into the brain. And what that basically means is that a giraffe has got a constant blood pressure in their head, no matter whether their head is up in the sky like it is now, or below the level of their heart. If you can imagine yourself doing a handstand, how quickly your face feels like it's going to burst off your shoulders, and that's because the blood pressure significantly increases in our bodies when we put our heads below the level of our hearts. And the effect of the massive heart pumping that blood into our heads overfills it, and it's what gives you that full feeling. Giraffe do not get that, for all as they are the tallest animals on the planet. You'd expect them to suffer from vertigo the drop of a hat. Hi has just asked me if giraffe have the biggest heart out of all of the animals. I suppose, if you take it per volume of the animal's total mass, yes, they have the largest heart out of all the large mammals. But the largest heart belongs to that of the blue whale, which is also a mammal, and probably is about the size of this giraffe, really, to be quite honest. I don't even know exactly how big a blue whale's heart is. I'd like to know. Please feel free to share it with me if you feel like it. Remember, you can use that email questions@wildearth.tv or send it to the hashtag SafariLIVE, and I'll share it with everybody. But yes, come back to the giraffe and the size of their heart. They have a heart that basically fills the front bit of its chest cavity. Can you believe it? A massive heart. You couldn't, it was probably about as big as a pocket of potatoes in terms of length. Let me see if I can give you an idea of how big a giraffe's heart. You know the shopping packets that we get from retail stores with our groceries in it? If you filled a shopping packet with water until it was as full as it could go. That is about as big as what a giraffe's heart is. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely enormous pump, and that's to get blood right up into that head, all those many meters and many feet above the level of the heart. Don't forget, a giraffe's heartbeat has to pump so hard that when it's not pumping, all the blood doesn't just fall straight out of the neck again. So, a substantial pump. Really epic sighting of this particular giraffe bull. He's been so accommodating. Sometimes giraffe bulls don't allow you to come close. Cambus, you've just asked me if giraffe are aggressive. I suppose if you corner a giraffe or try and take out one of its babies, yes, it could be. I've seen them attack lion, cheetah, leopard, and jackal quite viciously, to be quite honest. But for people, you can literally walk right by a giraffe, they'll do nothing to you. I wouldn't like to get kicked by a giraffe, but in all my years of walking around giraffe, I've never ever been attacked or even remotely approached in an aggressive way by giraffe. They're very, not timid, but very calm. Now, one thing I do want to have a look at this posterior view that we have of this giraffe. Oh, he's not going to allow us to do that. Was the fact that although he has quite a decent amount of ticks all over him, he doesn't seem to be infested with ticks. Now, giraffe that lose condition, giraffe always carry ticks. They always have a parasite load. They're one of those animals that carry around large-bodied ticks as well, so they're quite evident. Giraffe are one of those animals that when they lose condition, they can get these tick infestations because they have really difficult to reach places. As you can imagine, for a giraffe, getting to an itch on his back is not the easiest thing to do because A, he can't scratch there with his feet, and he can't twist his head around enough to lick there. So their behinds, they don't clean they don't clean off ticks because of that. Their legs get a lot of ticks on in all the hollows and then in their ears as well. And a giraffe in really poor condition can lose so much blood to ticks that their tails can fall off. How bizarre is that? And they can even lose their ears. Their ears can be sucked so dry of blood that their ears will fall off. Isn't that amazing? That, and it is exacerbated by the actions of oxpecker birds. The red-billed oxpecker in particular will keep wounds open. But an almighty tick infestation on a giraffe is a poor-looking thing. Have a look at how camouflaged this giraffe is. Here we have an animal weighing 3,000 pounds. Easy. Hiding behind a bush that has very, very sparse leaf cover and is almost totally invisible. Isn't that incredible? We only really just see him because of those two back legs on the right-hand side. No other vegetation between us and that giraffe. Sarah in North Carolina, you've just asked me how big in circumference is a giraffe's, the bones in their legs. Sarah, I would say, using your dad as a reference, just, you know, I'm gathering that your father would be an average-sized man of, say, 140, 150 pounds. A giraffe's leg bone will be about as thick as his leg bone where it joins the ankle. So not leg bone, his leg where it joins the ankle. So the bone would be about as thick as a fully grown man's leg where it joins the ankle, just slightly above it, perhaps just below where the calf joins the leg. I'm using my own leg as a bit of as a reference here. So just where my calf joins my leg, as thick as what my foot is at that particular point, or my lower leg is at that particular point, that is how thick that is of that giraffe. Obviously thicker at the place where his hooves join, as you can see there, but they're in the middle at its thinnest point. Maybe perhaps a mayonnaise bottle if I were to think about something in my fridge. A large can of jam, mayonnaise bottle, pickle bottle, not the jumbo pickles, of course, just the normal standard size. Manto, you've just made a comment to say that you'd think that giraffe would have lots of muscles for their necks. They do actually, Manto, and you can see that this giraffe being lean at the moment because of his poor diet, you'll actually see that the muscles straining there in the top, say, half of his neck. A lot of those muscles are just put there to keep his neck on, really, not really to help him with any type of movement. But have a look at that stride. Very similar to a camel. First, both legs on the left-hand side, and then both legs on the right-hand side. Let's go around the corner here and see. Let's just wait 1 second to see which tree is going to... Alrighty, let's go around the corner here quickly and see if we can see him some more. So, Manto, they've got a lot of muscle in their necks, just not enough for the length of their neck. So, the actual giraffe has a lot of muscle, I mean, I'm talking about this much muscle where his neck joins his body. It's an enormous amount of muscle. It just doesn't look like it's that much because of the fact that the giraffe itself is such a tall, ungainly animal. But here, from this view, you can absolutely see how much muscle is in that lower portion of the neck. That is easily as wide as what you can circle your hands, barrel sized. And then obviously attached to his shoulders and that characteristic hump on his back. There's where most of the muscle attachments is. That's where a lot of his vertebrae have got these extended fins on them for muscle attachment. You can do yourself a favor and just research quickly for a picture of the bones in a giraffe's neck, and you'll see that they are overly developed, bizarre looking things. Wow. Pretty Nightmare has just given us an answer to our blue whale heart. So if I can get this correct, Pretty Nightmare, excuse me for some references, but 5 feet long, 4 feet tall, and 5 feet wide, and weighs 400 pounds. That is a massive organ. To be honest with you, it would fit between that giraffe, so the space between the giraffe's back legs, back legs and front legs, that gap that you're seeing in there, under his belly, between the belly and the ground, that is as big as a blue whale's heart and weighing 400 pounds. Now, I could walk, myself and Brian could walk next to one another between that gap, and we wouldn't touch our shoulders against either of the legs or our heads on the belly of that giraffe. That's how big that gap is there. So a massive organ. Thank you very much for that, Pretty Nightmare. Thanks for sharing that information with us. It's always interesting, you know. Very, very nice. So thank you very much for that. Please keep those types of things coming. That, for me, works wonders. Now, I do know that Brent is back in the car after searching for Karula, and I'm sure he's dying to give you an update on what he's managed to find out. So without further ado, we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
So we found her tracks heading south into this area, and the last tracks pop out into this little area between Twin Dams and the Mawati River. I just want to check for tracks around here in case she's snuck off. Now, there have been baboons through this area. That might have made her change her course or move off. A female leopard with cubs does not want to tangle with a troop of baboons. See if any tracks your side there, VM, coming out. Nothing so far. Now, remember, we're tracking leopards on a live African safari. And you can ask me questions by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or you can send me an email to questions@wildearth.tv. No. I'm hoping that they're sleeping in one of the shady spots around here. James Dungan saying, do I think the cubs and the other animals get to know our human scent over time? I do not think so, James, not at all. There are far more overpowering scents, such as gasoline and oil, brake fluid, steering fluid, dishwasher, clothes washer, deodorant, shampoo. So, no, I don't think they recognize our scent. Now, I am hoping she hasn't gone too far south, which would lead her, unfortunately, out of our traverse area. But no tracks down here so far, which is good news. This is the closest water here in Twin Dams. There's a tiny little bit of water there. Nothing on this path. Nope. Queen Karula making us work for it after giving it to us so easy on the sunrise safari. Now, Janet is asking, being in the bush all the time, do we have to be on malaria meds? No, Janet. If we were on malaria meds permanently, it would be worse for us than getting malaria. You take those pills for extended periods. Malaria is not serious if you treat it seriously. That means if you catch it early, it's not a problem. I've had malaria 29 times, and from various different parts of Africa. I always travel with a treatment. Now, those baboons have been around here. It does make it a little bit more difficult. Just trying to have a look. No. Hoping she's lying up. There's a little creek bed over here. Lots of nice shade. But yeah, VM, have you ever had malaria? Nope. This is a relatively low risk for malaria, this area. If you've moved further north in Africa, it's a bit of a higher risk. Certain places worse than others, of course. Have a look. So last tracks head into this little block here. Let's see if she's snoozing in these lovely big trees or in this river system. Where have you gone, Queen Karula? Okay, I'm going to make my way back towards the last tracks. Now, also, this is a very good area for a certain bird we were searching for this morning, the white-throated robin. Afternoon, Aubrey. Following up on Karula, and Nkonzo heads south. Now just to the north of Twin Dams area, and Nkonzo goes into the block to the west of the Moati and to the east of Twin Dams Road itself. Okay, well, good news. It looks like Aubrey and William are going to come give us a hand, and 4 sets of eyes and ears are better than 2. So while we keep checking around here, let's go back to Steph. FM, oops, just stand by one.
Welcome back, and thank you, Brent. Good luck to you out there, holding thumbs that you managed to pull Karula and her cubs out of the bush. I'm hoping that with a full belly, she doesn't go too far and is lying up somewhere close by over there. Easy to see today. My plan this afternoon was to come and see how Sydney's dam is looking. I don't really expect much to be around Sydney's dam. The food stores around Sydney's dam are atrocious, with the majority of the good food being in the Manyaleti, actually. A lot of the animals that get pulled out of the bush to Sydney's dam get pulled out of the Manyaleti, and let's see if we can get this bird. I don't know, Brian, you must tell me if maybe might too. Let's see if we can get him quickly. That is a black-headed oriole on the dead tree, and he's just sitting so nicely in the. Oh, there we go. You got him. Just that yellow flash. Let's see if we can get him now again. He's in this bush in front of us at about my head level. So let's see if we can creep forward and see if we can get him. That was just such a nice view of a bird that is seldom, well, much heard and seldom seen, actually. So Brian, my head level in this fluffy tree in front of us here, he is before you behind the main stem on the right-hand side. So I'm going to creep forward here and see if we can get him. He looks like he wants to fly. There he goes. Ah, there we go. He's in the open now again. Let's see if we got him. There we go. Yes, black-headed oriole. Red beak, black head, beautiful buttery yellow or sunshine yellow tummy, and these blackish streaks along their backs. An insectivorous bird, and just unbelievably bright colors here. There you go, looking for insects behind the stem of this peltiforum tree or this weeping wattle tree. See if we creep forward again, Brian. See if he comes up and sits close by. I can just see his tail poking out from the right-hand side of this particular bush. So for those of you looking to find the orioles, it's O-R-I-E-O-R-E-E-L-E. That was embarrassing. All right, but he's now between these two main stems. See if I can go for a little bit. See if we can't get him relaxed enough with the car. So birds, it's almost an art to try and sneak up on them, to be honest. He's now hidden from us. Let's see if maybe when we pop out here, we don't give him a fright. There he goes. Ah, why are you flying away? On that branch there, Brian. Erica has just asked, what is the furthest distance a migratory bird travels to South Africa? And that would have to be the steppe buzzard for me, Erica. There may be that one of the terns, an Arctic tern perhaps, flies a little bit further, but one that I can think of right now would be a steppe eagle and the steppe buzzard, and even the Amur falcon, really. Those are the birds that fly the furthest to come here. The steppe eagle flying all the way from the Russian steppes, Mongolia, all the way to South Africa just to come and eat termites here. Can you believe it? So we're going to have a look at an atlas, and you'll see that the steppes, you can just go to Mongolia, really, put your hand on Mongolia, and put your thumb there, and put your finger in South Africa. You'll see that it is a half a twist around the globe and on the other side of the planet. All just for termites, something really spectacular. All right, I think that is the black-headed oriole done and dusted. I think that's flown away. All right, I love this little thicket chat, to be quite honest. This particular piece of bush that we're traveling through here right now, it is a very thick patch of bush and has some nice wallows in it. Now I'm just going to take 1 or 2 seconds just to have a look in this tree. I'm waiting for the weeping boer beans to start flowering because you and I are going to be sitting next to one. I can see, can I? No. You and I are going to be sitting next to one that's flowering and looking at the myriad life that comes and visits one of these trees when it comes into flower. They've got a blood red flower that literally drips nectar and pollen, and you can imagine in a parched land like this, from insects to birds, even small mammals just cannot leave it alone. But this one doesn't have any. I wonder if we need to take a drive down the Milwaukee and see if some that are in the drainage lines have started flowering. They normally flower around about the same time that the knobthorns flower, so I'm fully expecting to come around the corner and see this burst of red in one of the canopies very, very soon. But none on top of these termite mounds. And termite mounds, just like riverbeds, can actually let plants flower a little bit earlier than what you'd expect, mainly because the plants themselves, excuse me, just a woodpecker that gave a starling a big fright. I thought that it was very bizarre to have a warning call at a woodpecker. They don't prey on the birds of the starling. Anyway, back to the question about the termite mounds being what we call a hotspot. The termite mound itself is a very nutrient-rich resource for trees. So for the trees that can grow on termite mounds, that are resistant to termite mounds, it is a uncontested piece of land that's very, very high in natural resources. Coupled with the fact that termites almost always, their nests go down to the water table and they generate such a vast amount of metabolic heat that the termite mound itself is just infused with water and gives the trees that grow on top of these termite mounds another added advantage of being able to be close to water like that. So very often, drainage lines have trees that come into flower first, followed very closely by these trees that grow on top of termite mounds. And weeping boer beans have the ability to withstand termites. And because of that, I'm just looking here. There is an abnormal amount of hyena traffic here. And as far as I know, the hyena den hasn't been seen in ages. Brian, when was the last time we saw hyena dens here?
Not in a very long time.
Brian says not in a very long time. Perhaps you could help us out over there. When was the last time we had an active hyena den on Djuma? I would say, a month ago, maybe 6 or 8 weeks, at least 6 or 8 weeks, yeah. So Kirsty says 8 weeks, and right here where I'm looking at now, there's still a lot of hyena traffic here. Hyena traffic up and down. I wonder if I must come and walk around here, but let's see where these footprints of these hyenas take us. Now, so Wendy just asked me if I ever found a track that I absolutely could not identify. Wendy, without a doubt, I get stumped by tracks every single day of my life, generally speaking by birds and by activities of animals. So, there was a warthog there, but he's now run away, as usual. See if I can get you there. No, still going away. Shy thing. Let's see if we can get him through a gap in the trees there for you. No. No, that warthog has run away there, full speed. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, we were looking for these hyena tracks that are on this road over here. So lots of hyena tracks up and down. Now, if it was many tracks over a long period of time, cars would have driven over it. But these are all fresh. Lots of tracks going out, lots of tracks going in. I'm almost certain that we'd probably find some or other game path that has been used over here quite frequently by these hyenas. And I'm sure that if we went to go and walk around over here, we'd find that hyena den again. The last hyena den that was active here was active just on this side over here, probably about 200 yards or so. That was the hyena den off of Aubrey's Road. In those trees, just on the other side of the crest there, that was where this particular hyena den was located. That hasn't been used in a while. Lots of hyena vocalization coming from behind Gallagher again. I almost thought this morning that we were lucky enough to have one of those dens behind Gallagher and those very big, thick drainage lines active again. A woodpecker flying out in front of us. Lots of bird life here, actually. Let's go down to the dam. Hello Debbie, all the way from Vancouver. You've asked me which spring migratory arrival makes me the most happy. Immediately what springs to mind is probably the woodland kingfisher, that beautiful, bold, electric blue kingfisher with the red beak and the red and black beak and the black cap and the black eye stripe. They're cool, just sort of, that is midsummer. That is thunderstorms and rain and clouds and huge banks of clouds every afternoon. That is just, it brings back that memory of summer here. But to be honest with you, although it's in the middle of the winter and we always start speaking about the best migratory birds around about now, what brings back the most memories? I'd like to say the woodland kingfisher, but I'm going to think on that a little bit. I like the arrival of the frogs. Although they don't migrate, they do estivate, which is almost the same. They just disappear from view for a long time. And I quite enjoy frogging. I've got these beautiful memories of frogging as a young guide, learning about all my frogs. I used to take the teams of guides that I used to be responsible for, and we used to go frogging at the most abnormal times of the day and abnormal times of the night. And I just have such a fantastic bunch of memories. I've been frogging with my son a couple of times, and I'd definitely say it's some of the highlights of the summers that we've had so far have been these little frogging trips. So though not migratory, I enjoy the arrival of the frogs out here. Very colorful, very active. Usually you're at night in these pans, ankle deep in these pans, just a little head torch, so very intimate surroundings, there's night enveloping you. So I quite enjoy that. I hope that answered your question. So woodland kingfisher would have to be one of my favorites, probably that and the pygmy kingfisher. And then the arrival of the frogs again, which will happen once the rain starts. On that note, and while we just get up onto this crest over here and see what's around the next corner, Brent is back on his car again, and I'm sure with some more news about where Karula's been.
So she's managed to sneak across the road here on some hard soil. I had to be on foot to see it. I'm pretty sure she might have gone for a drink at the little puddle at Twin Dam. So let's go have a look around. It's really hard ground at the moment in this area. I'm really hoping she hasn't beetled off to the south. But that's how it goes sometimes. And if we found them as easily as we found Karula on the Sunrise Safari, where would be the fun in it? Now Dawn's wondering what other lodges can traverse Djuma. There is only one other lodge, or commercial lodge, that can... Anything outside there? That can traverse Djuma, and that's Cheetah Plains. Other than that, only private lodges from Buffelshoek, which are private individuals that are not commercial entities. Now, I'm really hoping we don't find... Oh, there it is. Is that a Karula track? Don't be a Karula track going that way. Yeah. Let's have a look here. That is not a Karula track, that's good. I was hoping she might be hiding in this one little thicket, or maybe down here, having a snooze after a drink. Only water down in the south at the moment is this tiny puddle that's left here. Okay, so I'm going to go check on the southern boundary and hope she hasn't crossed. It is a wonderful, clear winter's afternoon. And of course, we do have a cat in the bag, so to speak, with the Nkuhumas. Okay. Let's have a look. If she's going to cross, the general direction would be around here somewhere. But the thing we want to check is also whether the cub tracks with her, because if the cub tracks aren't, she might have left them somewhere. Hi, Ellen and Peter K. are wondering if we've got any milkwood trees around. We've got milk berries, which is quite similar, the low-felt milkberry. I'll see if I can find one for you on the safari. Okay, so far so good. We don't want to find any tracks down here, which will mean she's probably moved into this area up towards Treehouse Dam, which is one of her favored spots. Well, we keep our concentration on trying to find the Queen of Djuma. Steph has got a horse who forgot to take off his pajamas.
I also got a horse that forgot to take out her baby. This particular zebra is about ready to pop. Shame. Hello, Mom. Is all I really want to say to her. And I feel for you. Not that I know exactly what it's like, but ooh, she is full of baby. I'm almost expecting to be able to see the baby kick. Have a look at the veins running down her belly on the bottom side. Shame, girl. I hope you're getting enough food. Her mane is still very erect, so while she has lost a bit of condition, I can tell that by the wrinkles on her neck, by her shoulder. Her hips are not sticking out, her spine is not sticking out at her tail. Although she's a bit sunken in under the tail, it's not too bad. I think she's actually in good condition. So, wow. Good luck there, Mom. Don't get swallowed by the lions. They're lying around Vuyatela Dam. There's zebra all around us, actually, which is quite nice. Let's see where the zebra is actually going to go out. I'd love to show you a picture of her from the back, or at least from the side, so that you can see exactly how fat she actually is. Let me see if I can go forward a little bit. Let's see if we can't catch this lady. Yeah, she's standing right here. And she's got another foal trying to drink from her. So she's actually close enough to giving birth that although she hasn't started producing milk yet, she's probably irresistible to that young foal, who I can see his lips underneath the tail curled around her nipple, not getting anything. Shame, man. So no, this lady is a couple of, let's say, I won't say a couple of hours away from giving birth, but she's definitely within days of giving birth. So much so that this young foal thinks that the milk is for him or her. They give birth to just one baby at a time, or one foal at a time. That's interesting. Have a look at this baby, the blaze on the forehead, which I enjoy so much. It's fluffy on this particular foal. Oh, that's probably because he's been rubbing his forehead against mom's leg. But his coat is also a bit fluffier. She actually isn't in bad condition at all. Good luck there, Mom. Another zebra crossing from right to left around us. Amazing how these pans and these dams actually, they rotate with these animals. You know, Buffelshoek Dam was a hive of activity, and then we had Sydney's a hive of activity, and now we've got Vuyatela Pan, which is just sucking animals from everywhere. And that is the direction that they're walking into now. For those of you who keep a keen eye on the dam cam during the shows, you'll probably be seeing these zebra arriving at the pan at the current speed within the next 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even as less as 15 minutes. Hello there, boy. So Cheetown Connie has just asked me if these zebra being so pregnant could run away from lions. Cheetown, yes, they could actually, given enough warning. A zebra at full speed will outrun a lion, definitely. And she's not without the ability to protect herself. She can still kick out very, very strongly with her back legs. I have heard stories that they can immediately abort their fetus and run away easier. You know, I've never seen it in my life, and you know, having had a little boy, giving birth is not the quickest thing in the face, in all things considered. I think that the notion of immediately expelling something as big as a baby zebra is one left best for the imaginative world rather than the reality. I mean, I have yet to be proved wrong, though. So I've been proved wrong on so many things that I've said over the years. It may have been the fact at some point or another. But the idea is that a zebra that's under extreme pressure will be able to expel their fetus and then run away faster, unencumbered, leaving the fetus to satisfy the predator. And it's not only macabre, but I also think unlikely. All right, that is all the zebra. We're gone. So Elizabeth, you asking me if all zebra have that brown look to them, or is it just because of the winter time, and I presume because of the dust that they're bathing in? That particular zebra that you were looking at had a very distinctive shadow stripe, and that is unique to the Birchall zebra, or the plain zebra that we have right here, is that stripe between a stripe on the white. And that gives them this browny look, it gives them a browny color, and quite often those shadow stripes are not completely black either. They can be a browny color or a rusty color, which is probably what you were seeing on that last zebra that Brian was so keenly keeping focused there for you. But yes, the soil that they live in can give them another look. It can color them slightly darker, and it can also color them slightly whiter. Do yourself a favor and go and have a look at a picture of a zebra that's been mud bathing in Etosha. So E-T-O-S-H-A, Etosha National Park. It's in Namibia, and there they have these most magnificent white mud pools. And zebra that go in to go and drink water in these white mud pools come covered out and come out grey like ghosts. One thing that this bush does give us is is these long views of warthogs, which we don't otherwise get. Which is going to be better for you through that gap there, Brian. We've got some warthogs that'll be good for you. Now, normally warthogs run away from us all the time. There you go. So yes, that's to prove that we actually have warthogs that don't run away from you at the first sight, and that's because we're standing about 200 yards away from that big warthog. And even then, they move off. Isn't that amazing? I don't know why. Warthogs here at Djuma just don't like cars. Now, if you've ever wanted to know how animals in an area where humans bother animals behave, that is a prime example. The warthogs that we have here at Djuma, and that example of what you saw there. Long distance views, animals standing still for a very short space of time, and then moving off quite quickly. That's what happens when people hunt warthog from vehicles, when cars chase down warthogs, when animals are basically harassed by people. That is how you see them, and worse. Obviously, we don't hunt any warthogs in the Sabi Sands, and why the warthogs run away from us in this particular area is a mystery yet to be discovered. But it's definitely not because we do hunting here. All right, now, while I go around the corner here and see if I can catch up to these zebra and that pregnant lady, I just want to see her again. We're going to send you over to Brent, who's back in his car again, with some more news about his Karula tracking.
Well, the Karula news is a double-edged sword. One brilliantly sharp and positive, the other brilliantly sharp and painful. So Karula has left us. Her tracks do go across Gowrie Main, but it's only her. So tracks of the cubs do not go across. And the last place I had tracks, not traps, tracks. Say it again, cub tracks, was just up ahead in the Mawasi River, in my favorite area to look for white-throated robins. Hi, Michelle. Now, Michelle is wondering, is it easier or harder to track once the rain arrives? It's actually much, much harder, Michelle. Oh, what have we got there, VM? You said? Oh, it's flying away. Maybe we'll get a bit closer again. We're going to sneak. It was a kingfisher. Don't fly away. He's just in this little tree. Looked like a brown hooded, but I only got a quick glimpse. Here he is. See him, Vim. Oh, he's landing in a better spot, I think. Well, I've lost him, Vim. It's a bit lower, I think. Up a bit. Just a bit. Please don't fly, Mr. And he's now definitely gone. But fortunately for us, going to the last place I saw Karula cub tracks. Or Shongila and Hosana's tracks, which was in this block around here. So I think she might have left them somewhere here. Have a quick look. And I think this poor kingfisher thinks we're chasing him. Sure, he landed there somewhere. Okay. Now, this is a good area for Karula to leave the cubs. There are lots of nice big trees. What do you spotted, Vim? Just showing us the surrounds. So if we have a look carefully on this little slope here, you will notice my size 12 and a halves But let's see. No, I need to reverse it a little bit. Okay. And a little bit more. You see where that ball of elephant dung is there? Just beyond it, there. There's a cub track going north back into the block. So I thought they might just be playing, but when I followed her footprints, when they went to the south, and her footprints go up here, and on this side we've only got Karula's footprints. So they're probably snoozing in a thicket around here and just checking the lovely big jackalberries. There's a good chance they might be around. Now, as I said, the tracking becomes much more difficult in the rainy season because the ground becomes compacted, and also there's a lot more foliage around, and the best time to track is in the drought. Come on, little guys, where are you hiding? Up the tree? Now, James Richards wondering if a female leopard's territory is already quite full. Oh, yes, not the robin I've been searching for, but a robin indeed. Oh, am I looking at a different one to you? Oh, the one on the ground. Oh, where'd he go? It was a white-browed scrub robin. Is that what you're looking at? Here we go. It's so still. Sorry about that, James. It sidetracked. Unfortunately, it disappeared. Now, he's asking how far a female leopard, if there's not enough space around their mother's natal territory, will a female leopard wander? Now, it depends. I've heard up to 30 kilometers. It all depends on the density of leopards around that area. So I think we're finding that's happening at the moment in the western sections of the Northern Sabi Sands around the Manyeleti River. We've got Salahesh and Sele, Moyo, Ingrid's Dam, and then now a whole bunch of their offspring. And we saw in Chila, Tsakani, we've seen a few female leopards pop up miles away from their natal home range. Where are these little blighters? I'm sure they're in one of these thickets here. But I think we'll give them a break, maybe come back a little later when it's a bit cooler. Maybe they'll be out playing, and hopefully we'll be able to see them. Now, guys, why don't you tell me what you would like me to do next? We can carry on searching for birds. We can go look down or look in the west, or head back to the Nkumas. So why don't you guys let me know what you would like me to do, and you can do that by hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, sorry, there my stalled. Or you can use the email address questions@wildearth.tv. So while you guys decide what I'm going to do for the afternoon, let's go back to Steph and see how he's doing.
All right, and we've got the first Tambweti tree that is flowering. That is Spirostachys africanum, and those are its flowers. And this is a pretty young one that's in the bottom of a drainage line that feeds the Vuyatela Dam. And it's got some beautiful flowers on it. They're very tiny red flowers. They don't actually look like much. Very similar to a knobthorn's flowers. And they will very quickly turn into these bulbs, these seeds, these three-lobed seeds that then get infested with a moth's caterpillar in actual fact. Get infested with a moth's caterpillar, then eats into the seed and eats the seed, and jerks around and causes the seed to fall off and they lie in these carpets underneath the trees and jump around, and they're called the jumping beans. Here in the bush, the bushveld jumping bean. It's just nice to see these trees. Just another reassurance that spring is on the way. Let's hope that it is also the herald of some rain. Just a nice way to spend the afternoon. Enjoying the trees and all their flowers. Haley, you've just asked me what is my favorite thing to find in the bush and what do I enjoy, what is my thing that I enjoy most? Haley, I enjoy all the smaller things most. And I'd say that mammals are not on the top of my list. I would say that insects, followed closely by amphibians, and then I suppose any of the other reptiles, but definitely insects at the moment top my list of things to see out here. They just come in such a variety of shapes and sizes and with such a massive array of different things that they do and are specialized in. And I almost picture them in my mind being the same size as a lion or the same size as an elephant. And when you blow up something like, I don't know, one of the harvester termites with their chemical gun on the face, on their head that sprays out formic acid, and you turn it into something the size of a lion all of a sudden becomes a little whimper smurf. And nothing. But that's just my bizarre way of looking at things out here, is all trying to just equalize size, take size out of the question. And then I enjoy seeing bizarre things. If you joined me yesterday for the drive, yesterday afternoon, we saw an intense impala fight. Probably 3 or 4 minutes of these impala rams pitting themselves against one another and really trying to force their advantage, ending in one of the impala rams being thrown up in the air, and then he dashed off. He gave up and he dashed off. And it was just such an interesting bit of behavior. You read about it, you see pictures of it. You're even lucky if you see 1 or 2 documentaries that feature a full-length fight like we had. We had a title fight yesterday. We saw all the posturing before it happened, and we saw them licking their lips and going through all the moves and bowing at one another, and then, boom, we saw the fight. And we got to see it all in front of us, which is quite special. But I don't mean to make it sound as if we're not seeing special things at the moment, but that was just one of the things that has been remarkable to see here. And as summer comes along, and we start getting our first rains in the pools and the pans and the streams and the drainage lines, and the life just comes awake again after this dry time, there's just really no bush that you can pass without seeing something incredible or something amazing or something totally out of the ordinary, almost at every single bush or on every piece of grass, from spiders that can change color and have spines all over them, to praying mantises that look like pieces of grass, to, I don't know, giant stick insects this big looking like branches, purple wings. We have a waterbuck, talking about large mammals. So it's not a waterbuck that looks like a stick and is hiding purple wings underneath a cover that looks like a leaf, but it is a waterbuck, and it is a bull waterbuck, and one of the biggest of all the antelope that we find here. You're looking at a big male waterbuck, about 500 pounds, and one of the most dangerous antelope out here. Although they do get eaten by lion a lot, it's not uncommon to find lions grievously injured by them. Joe, you've just asked me what antelope has the longest legs, and that is a giraffe. That is the antelope with the longest legs. As far as I know, a giraffe is still classified as an antelope. And if it isn't the giraffe, then it would have to be the eland with the longest legs. Thinking about it now. The eland, yes. So the eland, it'll be the giraffe if a giraffe is still classified as an antelope, and if a giraffe is somehow not classified as an antelope, then it would be an eland as my next guess. Have a look at those massive ridges on their horns. Now those ridges are to push against. When males are fighting as one another, those ridges stop the horns from sliding over one another, and it takes a lot of force to push against one another and slip a horn past. And that's just so that males can compete with one another, even aggressively compete with one another, but not injure one another unto death. That wouldn't help the species at all. So those horns with those ridges on are really just there to stop massive injury from happening every time a test of strength is needed to be done. Incredible, these camouflages again. Literally just behind a bunch of sticks and poof, into the air, gone is a 500-pound animal. Very nice. Now, unlike, or I suppose no, not unlike. Let me rephrase that. There are a bunch of animals here that are the size of the waterbuck that eat either grass or leaves. A waterbuck eats grass, whereas a kudu, which looks fairly similar, I mean, it's grey and I suppose it's grey and it's got 4 legs. That's about the similarities it has. Kudus just eat leaves. And then you've got sable, which just eat grass. And you've got, I suppose, wildebeest, which also eat grass. What point am I trying to make by saying all of this? None, really. Just very different things. Right, I think let's leave this waterbuck behind these sticks. I actually want to get to Gallagher Pan and see what is going on around that pan. I'm hoping that that zebra with the big belly has come out of the grass over here and is drinking at the pan to give us another view of her. I'd like to see her again. Ah, Roger. Thanks for reminding me, Roger. I actually needed to get back with that one. No, I didn't give up on the hyena den sighting. The tracks come out of Buffels Hook. That game path of hyena tracks was literally walking in and out of Buffels Hook. And I think that because of that, I'd have to say in summary that I think that the hyena den is probably still on the other side of the Sydney's dam wall at some point. I heard a rumor that it was located just on the other side of the dam wall, and it hasn't moved from there yet, which is sad. However, that being said, there's a lot of hyena vocalization coming from this side of the lodge. And I'm not discounting the fact that a portion of that hyena clan might be at a den inside here. And as soon as we get back on foot again, I think what I'm going to do is dedicate an afternoon or a morning's walk to exploring this area to see if we can give any fact to our theory. Any proof to our pudding. Roger, I must agree with you. Roger just made a comment to everybody that I'd be quite the hero if I found a hyena den on the property. No doubt there, Roger. I mean, as you know from previous, I gather from previous times watching us, hyena dens just offer so much massive value from a sightings point of view. And I'd love to know what new cubs are around, what's happened to all those cubs that have been born over the last little bit of time, how many are left, what's going on with the females. You know, just as exciting. They've become part of the sort of the family out here, and we're missing them. So I agree with you. I think sooner rather than later, I'd have to go and make a plan to get out there. All right, so there's nothing at the Gallagher Pan, and that's because, oh no, there is water there. I was about to say, there's not much water. There was one waterbuck, I suppose, and I saw 2 nyala as well in the distance. Nicole's wanted to know if I've ever seen an animal give birth in the wild. Now, Nicole, I have seen an elephant give birth in the wild just once. It was very quick, and I think I just got the last little bit of the mommy's push, and then the baby was lying on the floor all slimy. I've seen a wildebeest give birth, and I've seen an impala give birth. Just 3 things. In terms of large mammal births, I haven't seen anything else. I've seen lion cubs, very, very new, eyes still closed. I haven't seen leopard give birth or been around where they've been too young. What else? No, that's about that. Just those couple of things. So it's quite a rarity actually to see it. Most mothers will go into a bit of a secluded zone to go and give birth, either surrounded by other members of its family or a little bit away from the herd. thus giving it some security and some privacy to do what's needed to be done, concentrate on that monumental task without being eaten by something at the same time. And I'm told that you can see many births in the Serengeti if you go there during calving season, that there's just so many wildebeests giving birth at the same time that seeing a wildebeest give a birth is actually a relatively easy thing to do. I haven't been to the Masai Mara or to the Serengeti during the calving season, something that I'd like to do potentially in years to come. I think there's so many other places in Africa that I haven't been to that I'd first like to visit, Uganda being one. I'd like to go and see the Murchison Falls. I'd also like to go to the Selous National Park. I know friend Brent has worked there for some time and he's just made me itchy to go and see what that looks like. I'd like to go back to the Busanga Plains in West Zambia, in the Kafue National Park, northern part of the Kafue National Park. I'd like to go into the rainforests, mainly just for the insects and the amphibians. So anywhere from the east coast all the way through, I suppose, to the other end of the Congo. All right, now we are coming around the corner here. So Amy, all the way from Southern California, good day, Amy. You've heard or you've read somewhere that South Africa can be quite dangerous to women, and you're wanting to know if there's any truth to this rumor. Amy, how do I answer this question? South Africa is very rurally based. There's a lot of people that live in very rural settlements, and in these particular areas, there's no 50-50 split between the genders. In other words, women don't have equal rights in these rural areas. It doesn't mean that they are treated bad. It doesn't mean that women are abused in these areas. They just seem to not have equal rights. But that's only speaking for a portion of the population. The populations that live in and around and our urban areas and our urban centers are every bit as equal in standing and right as any other country in the world, to be quite honest. If you don't believe me, you can go and have a look at our cabinet that rule our government, and you'll see that very, very many of the ministerial positions are held by ladies. And that'll give you an idea of how people in formal South Africa, not in informal South Africa, view women. As to whether you would be in any more danger here than in, any other city in the world, no, I don't think that that's the case. I have a lot of friends, female friends that have come over from the UK to do some of their military service, serving in full female regiments in rural areas here. I haven't heard a bad story at all. So be careful, obviously. Don't make yourself a target, secondly. And of course, if your gut says to you that you don't need to be in this place, then move on. That's about it. Other than that, same as everywhere else. But Brent's got some news for you while I make my way down through this gap, and I need to look where I'm going, otherwise I'm going to crash Brian off the car. And we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
So I heard that you wanted to go to the Nkahumas. So there we go. Nkahumas, the cat in the bag, so to speak. We've got the full pride. I can see 3 lionesses, 4 lionesses, and 2 males at the moment. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, there we go. Chewing on a stick. Jennifer, who's in Missouri, was saying this morning the lioness kept picking up the cub, trying to move it away from the water. Is that because cubs can't swim at all? Well, Jennifer, No, they can swim, probably. Again, it's one of those instinctive things. I think she was just trying to teach them about being near the water, and also with that male being sort of on the edge at the moment, I think that could have coupled or made that even worse. But it looks like the cubs are about to start getting active, so we've arrived at the right time. And you know, one's already chewing on some. I'm going to go for a tail instead. Oh, look at that. Don't bite my tail. Trying to nap here. Now remember, we are on a live African safari, and we're sitting about 5 foot away from a lioness suckling cubs. And I see them needing to help or to try stimulate more milk production. So these females are having to hunt very regularly, and they will be eating more than they normally do, because they do have to produce milk for this litter of little rascals. Okay, now in a few hours, I think the animals Steph has got, and exactly those particular animals are going to be probably running in fear from these very lions. So let's go have a look.
There we go. And Brian's thumb. Guess what that is? I think it's fantastically done. Nice one. Thanks, Brian. Well, welcome back, everybody. We have arrived at Vuya to find the hippo from Buffelshoek that was yesterday turning into a raisin, hydrating himself now in the shade. Vastly better pond of water, I think. And I haven't counted them yet, but let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 buffalo bulls as well. Have a look at this guy. Was he yawning with his attendant oxpeckers? Let's see where he goes. Massive boss. That's that horned mass on top of his head. He's definitely a hippo in the background. Nice view. He's definitely got one of these overdeveloped bosses. I'm not a big fan. Some people really enjoy having a buffalo with a big boss like that on top of his head. Me, I'm more of a fan of a deep curl. So there, what you're seeing coming into screen, that curl that you see, there we go, in profile. I'm more of a fan of a very deep, flat curl. I think buffalo with a deep curl look far better than a buffalo with a swollen forehead. See, you heard me insulting him and now giving me the buffalo beady eyeball. Shame, you know, my heart goes out to these guys. They're not looking terrible yet, but I just think in my mind another 60 days of no grass, and with the temperatures only set to increase, probably in the region of, in terms of degrees centigrade, we're around about 30 now, which is like 89, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to go up to at least 45, another 15 degrees centigrade on top of this in the next 60 days. See, all these buffalo are now waking up, and it's quite bizarre. They've obviously spent the heat of the day here. Now need to feed before it gets fully dark, and they become targets for lions, and they're actually doing a clever thing. The lions are not lying too far away from here at all. The lions and one of the Birmingham boys, one or two of the Birmingham boys, are lying up 200-300 yards from where we're standing at the moment, and they are supremely gifted buffalo killers. And these buffalo here would just make a target that they are very experienced and fully capable of killing. Brian, we've got a nyala drinking at the pool as well. Quite skittish. But we've got this nyala ewe, 3 of them in actual fact, coming to drink, and they're just, I don't know, that's just such a beautiful picture. Nyala in focus, buffalo in the background. Another nyala coming out here now. You probably get a reflection in, no, you won't get a reflection in the water. You may. Let's see if it's a interesting thing. Quite timid. There you can just see her face reflected in the water. Hello there, little guy. Just so pretty. Back when I started guiding in the late 90s, I saw a couple of nyala bulls on one of my first weeks in the bush. And then for years, literally 9 or 10 years, I didn't see another nyala, not another single one. Couldn't understand it. Until just the other day, I was informed that the nyala in the Sabi Sands, or the northern Sabi Sands, here where we are now, were reintroduced. It's, along with white rhino and the yellow-billed oxpecker, a reintroduction success story. And for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, pesticides killed the ticks or poisoned the ticks that the yellow-billed oxpecker fed on, and yellow-billed oxpeckers in this particular area went extinct. They were then a couple of pairs, I think it was 50 pairs, if I'm correct in saying, were then reintroduced. Have a look at that beautiful shot there. Well done, Brian. I don't know, to me that just looks very good. I wonder what she's doing there. Maybe she wants to do a triple backflip. She's been watching the Olympics and wants to show us what she's learned. Anyway, have a look at that picture there for you. That's a lovely picture. Grab that as a screenshot if you can. It'll be vastly different in 6 months from now, I guarantee you, from this particular angle. Yes, exactly. Michelle, all the way from New Jersey, has just commented on that as basically a herbivore party around the pan. That's exactly what it is. Although, that being said, Michelle, we've got a whole bunch of lions that are lying literally 200 yards away. So it's not just a herbivore party. There are some unwanted guests here as well. Now back onto that reintroduction. So they reintroduced a couple of dozen pairs of yellow-billed oxpeckers into this area, and it was such a success. You can now see yellow-billed oxpeckers throughout the length of the park, similar to white rhino. White rhino were extinct in the Kruger National Park, and a doctor called Ian Player reintroduced white rhino and black rhino from the Hluhluwe-Umfolozi National Park, and once again a massive conservation turnaround from the brink of extinction. White rhinos were saved. And similarly, nyala. There were no nyala left in this area, or very few nyala left in this area, and they were reintroduced and have now successfully populated. We see almost entirely, I see daily, every single day, we see a nyala at least. Now, lion targeting buffalo, that is now an interesting theory. We're looking at a lot of buffalo here. They would absolutely target the sick, weak, lame and lazy, or sick, old, lame and lazy. But it's sick, weak, lame and lazy that the lions target. They'll target them first. They almost can't help themselves. Except that it becomes a bit opportunistic, like a battle. As the battle begins or is in force, lions can quite often change from one target to another, and then they'll go for whatever target is best. They'll try and cut off a buffalo bull from the rest of the herd. These buffalo will come to each other's rescue. There are bonds between these buffalo that have been forged from when these buffalo were young calves. And buffalo definitely look after their friends, definitely. And so they'll try and cut a buffalo off in the panic, and then they will use their numbers to stop the buffalo and eventually bring the buffalo down just through sheer exhaustion, and hopefully weaken it to the point that it then expires and they can eat it. So James Richard has just commented that it's so nice to see buffalo again. They've been a bit scarce. It is actually, and you are right, James. We haven't noticed large groups of bachelor buffalo around at all. And I think it's because the lions have been in Buffelshoek for a while. The buffalo then move out of Buffelshoek and come here again. Now with the lions here, you'll probably find that they'll move away again. If I was a buffalo, I would move away from lion roars every single day. Not that these buffalo really care. I mean, I must be honest with you, that buffalo are some of the most stubborn, courageous, and fearless animals that you could ever imagine. They've been hunted from when they were born to this day. All these buffalo we're looking at here are a decade plus old and are the veterans of many, 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 many attempts on their lives. To intimidate a buffalo is a feat that I have yet to equal. They definitely don't scare easy. We've now also got, joining this particular herbivore party, we've got a flock of grey go-away birds. And they are quite comical to watch. They're also these birds that don't really ever sit still and do nothing. And that you're looking at there right now, grey go-away bird, same color as those. See what happens there, see if he goes down. He wants to come and drink. He's looking at two of his friends walking right along the bank that's trying to get down to the water, but also are battling. I think what he's doing is he's waiting to see which one gets it right. And there they found the pathway down. Just out of our view. Lovely to see, actually. Crests on their head that they can erect and lay flat at will, almost as their mood dictates, really. And like I said, hardly ever still. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is, what time of the day it is, they're always active. Yes, absolutely. Roger, you're wanting to know in which direction the road is, which direction the lions are lying. Roger, the lions are lying exactly there, 200 yards away from me. I think if I shouted really loud, Brent could probably hear me from here, but exactly in the direction you're looking now, 200, 250 yards away. That is where the lions are lying, in the drainage line. So if you follow the green streak of trees away from us down here, the lions are lying in there and would have heard these buffalo butting heads with one another and making their noises that they make. They will absolutely have been keeping an ear on these buffalo throughout the day, and I have no doubt that they will try and hunt a buffalo tonight. It's what they must do. You can see there's lots to choose from. These buffalo will feed up onto a crest, and then they generally relax and sleep corralled together on top of the crests, and that's where these buffalo are moving to now. You can see those buffalo in the distance over there, starting to move up onto the crest. And judging from their tracks, they move into monkey thorn thickets on the crests of the hills. Monkey thorns, as you know from the sounds that they make when we're crashing these vehicles through them, the monkey thorns protect their flanks and just aid their anti-predator behavior, as it's called. So Mohammed, all the way from Doha, has asked me, is there anything on my bucket list of things to see? Mohammed, there are so many things. I think initially I'd really like to see some more pangolin. I'd really like to see, I'd like to see some more interactions between animals. I'd like to see a hedgehog. I'd like to see a striped polecat. I'd like to see a Salu's and a Miller's mongoose. I would also like to see a black-faced lovebird, which just occur at Victoria Falls. I'd like to see a Pell's fishing owl, which I've been hunting for years, never successfully. There's a parrot at the top there as well. We've got a flock of parrots, or at least a pair of parrots, that looks like they want to come and drink here by us. And we've got one sitting in the tree just behind us here. And he's now silhouetted. Brian's now contorting his body around here to try and get this for you. But there we have the brown-headed parrot, the only parrot that occurs here. A little bit bigger than a lovebird, to give you an idea of its size. Yellow to lime green, and then with a brown head. And although they will forage in flocks together, they're actually just in monogamous pairs, a male and female together, which will often fly in unison with one another. And it's how they bond together, is flying in these intricate patterns in unison with one another. That's just a fantastic sighting of a brown-headed parrot. Wouldn't get much closer. Let's see if they come down and drink here at the water. I can hear his partner or her partner calling from another tree somewhere along the line. Not too far away from here, actually. See if this little parrot comes down to drink. Rochelle has just asked if animals could mistake their reflection in the water for another animal and get a fright. Well, Rochelle, I don't actually know if I know the answer to this question. I would say potentially yes, but then animals have seen their reflections in the water from when they're very young, and it's something that they would have been used to already, is the fact that this face just appears in front of them at water. So maybe once or twice when they're younger, but definitely not by the time they get older, for sure. So I hope that answered your question. I don't think it has a real easy answer. So yes, up to a point, and then no after that, I suppose, is about the most factual that I can be. Here's a red-billed oxpecker on the back of this hippo. Hippo hides are almost always full of scars and scratches because they are contact species, and they're actually quite aggressive. They bite one another constantly, lacerating the skin, and that to a red-billed oxpecker is just a buffet that they just cannot say no to. Being the blood-drinking birds that they are. But talking about lions and the proximity that we are to them at the moment, Brent has actually managed to relocate on those lions from this morning, and is waiting to show you what they've been doing, or are doing at least.
So the cubs are just starting to be absolutely cute at the moment. There's no other way to describe it. They're just delectable little monsters rolling about and chewing on sticks, chewing on their own tails even. Hi, Gracie. Gracie is 9 years old, and Gracie says there's so many babies. How do the mums keep track of them? Do any of them ever get lost? Not normally. Being a family animal, lions, they tend to stick together. So it's uncommon, but not impossible for the babies to get lost. Oh, hello, little ones. Oh, lifted her head into a stick. Now, that Birmingham boy is still very much defending the youngest in Kahuma Lioness. She's lying behind there. And every time the other male gets up, he starts growling. Oh, Vim spotted a woodpecker close to us. Oh, look at that. Looks like a little cardinal woodpecker right above us. Oh, well spotted, Vim. Let's see if I can... That's one of the ones we're going to miss for the live... The live bird book. Definitely one I haven't got a picture of yet while on live drive. Oh, he's gone behind a piece of wood. I'll keep a sharp eye, don't worry. But we are... Okay. Now, what I'm hoping... Oh, I'm just going to get that snap of that woodpecker before it disappears again. And it's gone again. Oh no, he's back. Gone back, gone back. Very pretty little birds. Not quite as pretty as lion cubs though. Book Diva would like to know whether the cubs are teething. Probably a little bit, not properly yet, as they'll only lose their baby teeth or their milk teeth when they're about 6 months old. Now, isn't this just wonderful? And quite different from what the type of playing we had on the sunrise safari. A little bit more sedate. What are you growling at, big boy? Oh, the other male lifted his head. Oh, big yawn. Come on, guys, it's time to go catch a buffalo. Now, Roger's posed a very interesting question. When the lionesses have to hunt, will they leave a babysitter? Will they take the cubs along? Or will they just leave them? Well, Roger, they normally just leave them. Sometimes they will take them along, especially if they happen to be moving and they spot something while the cubs are there. It's normally a quick reprimand, and then the cubs sit tight while the ladies go off to do the hunting. But it really just depends on each individual situation, Roger. But mostly they will leave the cubs behind. In a thicket somewhere where there's good cover, where the cubs can disappear and are well camouflaged. And even though we often see the cubs are very active when the adults are around, when they're not, the cubs pretty much don't move much at all. And they definitely don't make all the noises that they make when they are surrounded by adults. Oh, here we go. One of the ladies is up. So for lions that have eaten quite, or killed quite a few buffalo, they are still looking quite hungry. Now, I think those 2 buffalo they must have killed in Buffalo's Hook the night before last couldn't have been the biggest buffalo around. Oh, I could get some nice greeting. Hello, my friend. I love it when lions face rub. Excuse me. Look at that, isn't that just pretty? That lovely golden light filtering through. Now, Kat in Tampa says, I never get tired of watching these cubs. Me neither, Kat. Me neither. Get that stick. Oh, that lioness who's being shadowed is up. Now let's see what the Birmingham boy does. He's not leaving her side, and you might watch the other lionesses try to get out of the way, because he's quite grumpy at the moment and has been known to just make a nuisance of himself. There we go. Look at that. He's so close to us. Now, believe it or not, you can see he's urinating and scent marking. I have nearly been sprayed on by a lion a couple of times. And I have been sprayed on by a lion once before. Or he might get a smack. Look at that, the Fleming grimace. Look at that, lions all around us. And that big male is sniffing the female's back end. Now, he's going to lift his head shortly and draw back his lips. There we go, the Fleming grimace. Now, what he's doing there is taking that scent from the female over his Jacobson's organ, which is that organ in the top of his palate, and it's going to give him a whole bunch of information with this female's an estrus, and just by the way they're behaving, and he shadows her wherever she goes, she is very likely to be coming into estrus quite soon. There he is, going to lie down. Oh, growl, growl. Such a grumpy boy. Now, as I said, we are hoping that these lions are going to get moving and head towards a waterhole where there's some buffalo, maybe a little bit later. It could be very exciting. And you notice that male lion, as he was moving around, he's got a bit of a limp. That's not unusual for male lions. They're always in the wars. Quite often they're fighting with each other over mating rights. And there's another male who's just keeping his distance. Can't see him, he's just through the bush at the back. He might be just around there somewhere. And every time he lifts his head or moves, this male growls and gets grumpy. Now, he'll be quite tolerant of the cubs, but not the other adults. There's literally a cub pile happening behind him. How many cubs in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So have you heard that little beep, 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 beep? We're just rolling a VR. Oh, tired kitty. It's hard work being wanted. And it really is, because he literally won't let her go anywhere. Trying to see which one lioness I can't see is the amber-eyed lioness. But I'm sure she's around here. This is quite a thick area. She could be just snoozing somewhere close by. You can see the males quite tolerant of the cubs. It almost looks like, should I go annoy Dad? I'm thinking about it. Is it worth it? Oh, tackled. That lion could give our Springboks a lesson on how to tackle. He's licking. Male doesn't seem too perturbed. He's not. Oh, the tail is starting to flick. Ah, but he has retreated. Oh, what? Male's tail? Oh, no, decided discretion was the better part of valor. Let's go attack a female's tail. Oh, no, you're getting told off there as well. Okay, I'm just going to go lie in the cub pile. So Dean is wondering, is it only males that phlegm and grimace? No, it's both sexes. And is it unique to mammals? As far as I'm aware, Dina, and ours is redundant. It's that small hole in the top of your palate. And you can do, if you do that, you can feel it there. But because of our verbal communication, we no longer need chemical communication to the same degree we did while we were evolving. So it has become redundant in human beings. Wow. Isn't this just too special? It's literally a cub pile. Oof. Feisty. Not quite the most coordinated just yet. And you can see aloe grooming even starts at a very young age. Two greedy gutsers still drinking at the back. Where are you off to? What are you up to down there, little horror? Yeah, I see you. Don't come make mischief with my tires or something. Oh, big stretch. Now, Steph is perfectly positioned at the moment. If these lions get moving, he's where the prey is going to be. So let's go have a look what's at the Djuma Pan.
That's it, Brent, you're quite right. There's not any water to drink, but there's also buffalo to eat. And have a look at this buffalo. Have a look at his tail. This poor buffalo has broken his tail so many times. It's like a prize fighter that's broken his nose. Just an absolutely skew, manky tail. And I feel so sorry. It must be like a abnormally overgrown arthritis finger that must be a source of constant pain for this poor buffalo. Shame. Oh, just looking at it gives me the chills up my spine. He hasn't actually been in such bad condition. There's been a lot of other buffalo around here today that have been in a lot worse condition than him. That's so often. There's another buffalo coming out the back over there. He was also just here with his friend. Buffalo do form these bonds with one another. I've said it a few times today, and it's just been reiterated today. Although they'll hang around in these bachelor herds, which are informal, i.e. they are fluid, they definitely form bonds with one another. And these bonds, these one buffalo, two buffalo, three or four buffalo together that have been together and looking after one another since they were 12 years old, since they were 2 years old, stick together for life. And in the couple of times I've seen lion be chased off by a buffalo, having caught one and then being chased off by another one, it's definitely these male buffalo that come to one another's aid. That is an enormous impala. There's an impala walking out to that buffalo there. He's just a beautiful specimen of a male impala. Look at those horn tips, the last inch or so of his horn, parallel with its neighbor, with its twin on the other side, which tells me that this is a mature breeding ram. In his prime, would have contested quite hotly during the rut this year, which happened in May, and will probably be able to contest equally, maybe with a bit of experience behind him now, for the next hot spot in the coming rut following May. Let's see if he comes up here to have a drink so that we can get a nice picture of him. It looks like he's coming in this area. It's been such a peaceful afternoon sitting over here. I must be honest, the first hour and a half of the safari, the sun felt like it was living on my face. My face feels like it's been burnt with acid at the moment, even though I've caked it in. There he sticks his face over. Even though I've caked my face in sunscreen, it's just been an intense day. One of these, definitely these summery feels. Have a look at that guy. What a good-looking impala. Sucking some of the oxpeckers from the buffalo onto him. They're having a bit of a powwow. They're going down to the ankles where impala do carry a lot of ticks. Out along the flanks, combing through the hair. Red-billed oxpeckers have this special comb on their bottom bill that they can comb through the hair, comb out mites and ticks. Where's this impala going? No other impala in sight, actually. He just seems to be on a mission from one place to another. Impala will very often come onto these open areas at night time. Makes it that much more difficult to be snuck upon by something, in particular leopard. Even though impala get eaten by almost every single predator out here, from snakes to eagles, from the lowly jackal and caracal to lion, impala seem to form a staple diet of almost all of them. Sabrina, who's only 12 years old, has asked me the question, the inevitable: how does a buffalo break its tail? Sabrina, in the melee, when they are busy mating with one another, quite often what happens is buffalo bulls will mistakenly mount one another in an effort to try and assert dominance. And I personally think that it's during these sort of dominance fights, basically, that these males get injured like that. Yes, it can happen when they're a bit younger, when they're lying in herds, but it's uncommon to see a young buffalo with a broken tail. It's far more common to see these older male buffalo with broken tails. That, and also lion, will very often grab a buffalo by the tail to anchor that buffalo in one spot. And if a lion has bitten this buffalo enough on that tail, it'll give them injuries like that. And although this buffalo got away, which sometimes they do, it would have left its mark, and in this particular case left this buffalo with a very skew and broken tail. Doesn't that just look absolutely terrible? Take your finger and break it in 7 places and then walk around with that for the rest of your life, and that's basically what that must feel like. They have it hard out here, I must be honest. Out of all the big 5, buffalo look like they have the hardest life. Peter, all the way from Florida, you've asked me how long does a hippo hold its breath for. Well, Peter, a full-grown male hippo can hold their breath for about 7 to 8 minutes at its longest, but usually only about 40 seconds to about 2 minutes. They will also sleep, and in their sleep, they will lift their head. It's a subconscious movement to breathe every 2 minutes or so, every 40 seconds to about 2 minutes. So let's see now. It's probably at about 20, 25 seconds that he's now under the water over there, bubbles just plopping out of his nose. I think we have a clock on the camera that we can keep an eye on. So we can take it now at about 30 seconds, 35 seconds. Yeah, it's about 40 seconds now, plus minus. Watch this buffalo hold his breath for the next 4 hours and make a fool of me here. No, that won't happen. But so we had about a minute now. Ah, excuse me, hippo. My brain's leaving me. There we had about a minute 10, minute 15 seconds now. You can see the buffalo's eyes are tightly shut with the exertion of trying to prove me wrong. 1 minute 30 seconds about. Really forcing himself into the last few seconds of this round here. 1 minute 40 seconds. 1 minute 45 or so. Yeah, the strain is starting to tell. Look at the bubbles coming up. Eyes closed in his cave. There we're at about 2 minutes now. And the hippo smashes my record. Now about 2 minutes, 20 seconds. We just had a comment come through about who else is holding their breath at the moment. I think it's just me as well, don't worry. So we're probably at around about 2 minutes 40 seconds, 2 minutes 45 seconds. Wow, this hippo is going all out to try and prove me wrong today. And there we round about the 3-minute barrier, hey Brian?
Yep. That's the longest I can hold my breath for.
Brian just said that he can hold his breath the longest at 3 minutes. And that must be with a lot of chest pumping and hyperventilation.
Lips start to go slightly blue.
Yeah. You can see that this buffalo is going red with the exertion there underneath his ears. I'm only joking with everybody. They're normally red under their ears. There we're probably at around about 3 minutes 30. Yeah, exactly. Tim has just said that this hippo has got a straw that he's breathing through right now, or he's carrying an oxygen tank under his armpit. So I would gather we're around about 3 minutes 40 seconds, 3 minutes 45 seconds now. This is actually incredible. Relaxed hippo, heartbeat right down. There we're at about 4 minutes now. 4 minutes. That is a long time. I think some scuba divers can go to about 6 minutes, 6 minutes 50 probably, and I think the world record for holding breath, I'm not too sure, but it's probably around about the 7 to 9 minute, somewhere around there. So now we're at about 4 minutes 30. Four minutes 30 seconds, everybody. This is amazing. It's like a race against time here. So Scott in Durban wants to know if he's breathing through his ears. There we go, here we go. And easy breathing. There we go. So I would say that he's probably close on about 5 minutes. I would say just shy of 5 minutes. Big breath. And then very quickly going under again. It would be interesting to know. That is actually incredible. We're going to keep an eye on the time again. I'll tell you why we're going to do that. Because we'll be able to tell you how many times a hippo breathes in an hour when we know every how many minutes he breathes. I think we're going to keep a time on this thing and try and get an average for you. But on that note, Brent is still with those very, very cute lions. Off you go. We'll catch up with you when we've stopwatched this one.
Someone just woke up Dad and he wasn't too impressed. That little one there tried to climb over the middle of Dad's body. Well, it has prompted him into another sniffing foray, so get ready for the phlegm and grimace. There we go. Look at those lovely big canines. Absolutely magnificent. There it is again. Oh, and back to sleep. There's the culprit. You woke Dad up. Looking a little guilty. I wouldn't play with Dad's tail. It might get you into trouble. Yes, I head back to the cub pile safer. Oh, bless you. The sun is dipping. We are still hoping that they're going to get moving. Oof. That was quite a little argument. Now Josh in the UK is doing his thesis on lions and is wondering, when are they most active and why? So always more active when it's cool. There's a couple of different reasons. The main reason being is they battle to lose heat. So their only way to lose heat is by panting and keeping in the shade. So that's the main reason they're most active when it's cool. Also, they are designed to be the dominant nocturnal predator. So that also means, oh, there we go, that when at nighttime it's cool, so they're able to be more active without overheating. So if a lion's core body temperature raises by just a few degrees, it can be fatal. And also at night, when they do most of their hunting, that night vision is a massive advantage. Got an itchy foot. Now, not so long ago, we were lucky enough to see the first introduction of those little cubs to the rest of the pride. And now it looks like they've always been there. Ooh, trouble. Liz in the UK is wondering why the Ngoma cubs look to be in such good condition and the Styx cubs not so much. Ooh, let's just watch what happens here. I wouldn't bite Dad's ear if I were you. That's a big mouth. I think I'm gonna leave. Yes, there's a stick. So I just think it's unlucky that the Styx, I think possibly via the Birmingham boys, just happened to pick up a bit of a demodractic. Oh, I can never remember that one. A type of mange. It's a little mite that feeds off hair follicles. And normally, they do survive it quite easily. But the older they are, the better chance they have of survival. From what I've seen of the Styx cubs, I mean, they don't look great, but they don't look like they're about to keel over and die. They certainly are not the fluffy postcard picture lion cubs of the Nkuhumas. Oh. Oh. Off. I'm not in the mood for your nonsense. Oh, and back down. Sorry about that. Oh, look, to the left there a little bit, Graham. The cub's being used as a pillar. Well, drinking from Mom. So sweet. And hooligans in the middle. Force its way in there. Looks like it's found a teat. A huge welcome to Ladybug Landing Daycare Center in the great cold northern country of Canada. Welcome on your live safari, guys. Very exciting to have you here. And look at this. We've got a daycare of our own going on next to us. It's lion daycare. So we've got 8 little cubs, 5 big females, and 2 big males. There we go. Oh, we're hoping that lions are going to get moving shortly. It is getting cool, the right time of the day. So maybe once the babies have finished suckling, we might see them on the move. Ah, there we go. So there's a cub that's made its way all the way to the second male. You can just make out through the bush. A brave little cubby. Now, we're sitting here with lions, but of course I'm not the only one out and about on this live African safari. So let's go say hello to Steph, who's got one of the biggest animals in the bush.
Hello there, all of you, all the way from Canada, which is miles and miles and miles away from where we're sitting here in the African bush. I'm Steph, and I just want to say a very warm welcome to all of you from Ladybug's Landing Daycare Center, all the way in Canada. Now, we have got a little bit of a competition going on here, I guess. We with this big hippo, and like Brent said, here's one of the biggest animals in the bush here. He, in terms of pounds, can go to 5,000 pounds. Now, 5,000 pounds is almost the same weight as the car you got dropped off at school today, or will be fetched a little bit later on today in. A small little family compact car that weighs 5,000 pounds, as much as what this hippo weighs right now. Now, as you can see, the hippo's nose is in the water, and hippo can hold their breath. And what we've been doing for the last 15 or 20 minutes is timing how many breaths this hippo takes. And so far, this hippo is taking a breath every 4 minutes. I want you to do yourselves a favor if you can. Look at the clock on the wall. When it gets to 12, I want one of your friends to count how many breaths you take in 1 minute. So count how many breaths you take in 1 minute. So from the 12 all the way around the clock, the second hand, the fast one, all the way around the clock until 12, count how many breaths you take. I'll give you a little bit of time, and while you're busy doing that and getting yourselves prepared for that, I'm going to carry on with some more interesting things, and then we'll come back to that. Now, this hippo is covered in a lot of fatty tissue, and that is because this hippo is actually very similar to the manatees which you find in Florida. It's an animal that lives in a swamp or a marsh and eats seagrass, and this particular animal also eats grass, only just outside of the water. Hippos climb out of the water at night time and eat grass, just grass. Got a big wide mouth and massive teeth, and they chomp up grass, about 100 pounds of grass every day. 100 pounds of grass is like them eating one of you in weight every single day. Can you imagine? That is why he looks so round. Have a look as well at those eyes and those ears. There's his nose. Let's see what time that was. What time was that, Brian?
4 minutes on the dot almost.
So 4 minutes on the dot. So that was this hippo has taken only 4 breaths in the last 20 minutes, or 16 minutes actually. So this hippo has taken only 4 breaths in the last 16 minutes. Now what I want you to do is, those of you that decided to do my exercise of counting how many breaths you did in 1 minute, open up a calculator if you can. Lots of phones have calculators. I'll give you some time to do that. All right, have you got your calculators open? Now what you need to do is take the amount of breaths that you took in 1 minute. There'll probably be around about 20 to 30 breaths. Somewhere around there, I would imagine. And I want you to times that by 60. So take the amount of breaths you took in 1 minute, times it by 60. And that's how many breaths you take in 1 hour. It's a lot, hey? Now imagine this hippo only takes 15 breaths in the same amount of time. Now that is an amazing fact, hey? So 15 breaths, only 15 in-breaths every single hour. That's amazing, hey? And while this hippo is waiting for the sun to go down, he's also being visited by those birds. Those birds are red-billed oxpeckers. They've got a red bill. They're called oxpeckers because when they were first described to science, or to Western science at least anyway, they were quite often seen sitting on cattle. They sit on the hippo to pick off all the parasites that infest the hippo, all the ticks and the mites and the skin parasites. And they also drink blood. They are about as close to vampires as we get out here. These birds live on blood, and what their job is to keep wounds on animals clean. They're the little doctors. They're part of the cleaning ritual, the antiseptic agents out here in the bush. The birds will pick open injuries and cuts and keep blood flowing to those areas. And we all know that blood makes things better as long as it doesn't pump out of our arms and legs. And have a look at them, just resting on the back of this hippo. And you can see that one right at the bottom on the right-hand side. You can see him digging in a wound or something over there. Him worrying it with his beak. And these birds will sit on almost everything. They'll sit on giraffe, they will sit on buffalo, they sit on impala, all the antelope species that we get here, all the various animals. And they even make their nest inside the hole of trees. They will make their nests and line their nests with hair that they get from the animals that they sit on. Now, hippo don't have any hairs on their body. They have a few hairs on their body. This particular one doesn't have any hairs on his body. But they will have some hairs on their chin and their mouth. Now, Mac, you've asked me how many babies hippo have at one time. They just have one baby at a time. So they hold on to their baby for about 8 months in their mommy's tummy, and then they give birth to one baby. Sometimes, very rarely, you can find twins, but generally it's just one baby at a time, just like us. Now, if you have a look underneath that hippo's ear, you'll see that the skin is red there. Now, that is because hippo, they sweat a thing called, or a substance called hipposudoric acid, and that is colored red, and that dries to an even redder color, and it's a sunscreen. So just listen to what I've just said there. Hippos sweat sunscreen. How's that for an interesting fact? All right, and on that note, we're going to send you back over to Brent, who's sitting with those lions.
Now, it looks like there's a bit of action, some movement happening. Now, if Steph looks from where he's sitting, he might see the lions pop up on the road shortly as some of the lionesses are getting moving. So, 3 lionesses started to make their way out of these thickets. cubs are just still playing. I'm just keeping my eye on the lionesses, where they're going, because we might need to move, and this is quite a precarious area. Now, the cubs might just stay here while the lionesses go out. So as I said, if Steph keeps an eye down the road, those lions might pop up there now. The females. But isn't this wonderful, sitting with little lion cubs live in the middle of the African bush? That one looks like it's thinking about following the females. Well, hello guys at the Ladybug Center. I don't know, why do the boys have these big manes and the girls don't? Well, it's for protection when they fight with each other. So the males have to fight to get girlfriends. So when they fight with other males, that extra hair around their neck helps to protect them. Now, the other male who's just through the bush, he stood up, and that's where all the cubs are looking. You can just see him through there. You can see his foot. Now, Vim, can you see where those girls have gone? No, they went up onto the road, okay. Well, we're just going to sit here, see what happens. Oh, Vim can just see them through the bush. I can't see them, so we'll stick with the lines we got. Now, that hippo could make a nice meal for these lions. Now the cubs might stay here while the females go get dinner. So a little boy lion will only have a full mane when he's about 5 years old, but you'll start seeing it from when he's about 7 or 8 months old. You'll start seeing him getting fluffy around. Now those guys look like they're stalking the other male. In fact, I want to go play with the other male. Oh, let me just move back a centimetre there. Can you get a gap through there, Vim? There we go. Hi, Dad. So the male lions can be very tolerant of the babies. Looks like all the cubs are heading to join that other male now. And then this guy's growling, protecting his girlfriend. Oh, too many cubs. He's very gentle with them. So you guys would like to know how fast lions can run. Very fast is the answer. They run at about 22 meters per second, which is just under 90 kilometers. One of the lionesses is coming back. Oh, big yawn. Oh, she trying to call the rest of the pride, saying, it's time to get moving, guys. Hello, cubbies. Jumping on Mum's leg. Oh, lie down again. Now, this is not uncommon with lions. Up and down, up and down. Oh, gotcha. Now, you guys would like to know how heavy can a male lion get? Well, these guys here probably weigh just under 200 kilograms, but a really big male lion can weigh up to 250 kilograms, and the biggest recorded male lion from Namibia weighed 300 kilograms. Off. On that funny note, as the lion cub lost its footing, let's go see how Steph and his hippo are doing.
Thank you, Brent. My hippo is doing fantastic, and we are trying to get you a view of an emerald spotted dove that is busy drinking just on the side here. Let's see if we can get him for you. He's a tiny little dove. There's his wings sticking out there, and you'll see popping his head up the green spot dove, or emerald spot dove, as this little bird is called. Oh, there we go. Flew away. Sorry about that. But have a look at how many other doves we've got all over this pan. They've just been flying in here in their droves. And I must be honest, 2 or 3 land, and if you take a careful look there, have a look and see if you can count how many doves are actually landing all the time. There's 1 or 2 taking off, but the vast majority of them are just landing, having a drink, having a bit of a social life. Almost all of them are Cape turtle doves. That's the dove with a black mark on the neck. Cape turtle doves. And I'm trying to see now with my binoculars if I can see any other type of dove. No, all just Cape turtle doves, no laughing doves. Isn't that amazing? Just the ground is just peppered with them. Now I'm expecting 1 or 2 sandgrouse to fly in as well. I can't wait for sandgrouse to come. Hopefully it's still light enough for us to show you them. They come in at sunset, they rocket over the bush, and they live in very dry areas like this is now. And the males fly in from very far away, and they have special feathers on their tummies that can actually hold water. And believe it or not, they put their bellies into they drink first, and then they put their bellies into the water, and they fill their feathers with water, and then they fly to their babies. And they set their wet feathers onto the eggs, and the eggs then soak up the water. And can you believe it? That's how the eggs stay alive in these dry areas. Isn't it amazing? I'm waiting for these sandgrass to rocket in. We should be lucky. If we're holding our thumbs together, we should be able to see one of these fantastic birds. Now this hippo, he hasn't done much. He's kept that 4-minute breathing that we were doing just now. So every 4 minutes or so, he has a breath. So that does mean we've confirmed that this particular hippo today, and relaxed as he is at the moment, is only breathing 15 times an hour. Isn't that amazing? Most of us breathe more than 15 times a minute. Ladybug Daycare has just asked me if there's any way we can tell between male and female hippo. Yes, there is. Female hippo with a baby, it's easy to see. Male hippo tend to be bigger as well. They have these more robust skulls. And for the reason is that those two bumps that you see just next to his nostrils there, just behind his nostrils, can you believe it that that is where his teeth go to? They have these massive bottom teeth that are shaped like a banana and are about as long as your forearm, in some cases as long as your arm. If you're around about 5, 6 or 7 years old, hold out your arm in front of your head. That is as long as the bottom tooth in a hippo's mouth. And that bump that you see just behind the nose, let's see if I can put my finger on it for you, there, that is where the bottom tooth goes into the top of his mouth. His tooth is pushing out the skin there. Whoa, sorry. He didn't like me trying to pick his nose over there. I can't imagine why. A hippo can open up his mouth. I've just been asked the question how wide a hippo can open up his mouth. They can open up their mouth almost 180 degrees. Now that means, I want you to try this, although probably not. Open up your mouth as wide as you can, and you will see that your mouth doesn't open all the way. A hippo can open up his mouth that his top teeth and his bottom jaw teeth, point completely away from one another. Can you believe that? So open up your mouth as wide as you can, and even then, your top teeth and your bottom teeth face one another. Hippos can open up their mouths so wide that their bottom teeth and their top teeth face completely away from each other, like this. So hippos can open up their mouths even wider than my hands can go at the moment. Massively wide. For us, we can't. My teeth still busy talk to one another. Let's see. It's now getting dark, and this hippo will start to get a little bit more active as the night picks up. There's not a lot of food around for these poor animals at the moment. They eat a lot of food, actually. They actually only feed for a couple of hours a night. And that's because they're really good at cutting all the grass that they need with their big mouths. They've got this big, flat, wide mouth, and they use their lips to crop all the grass that they can. Now, on that note, the lion cubs are up to something, and so off you go.
So there's still quite a bit of cub movement, but no adult movement. Heads up. So we are hoping they are going to get moving shortly. Oh, big yawn. Oh, sorry, guys. I think that's just one bite. There we go. Let's chew on a weeping wattle. Just because it's there. Now, lions are not normal swimmers, but the ladybugs would like to know how well can a lion swim. They can actually swim quite well, but they don't like to swim if they can help it, because one of the only crocodile, or the only, what happened back there? One of the only predators that poses a threat to the lions is the crocodile, who lives in the water. Coming back. Oh, hello. All those greetings are very, very important to help reaffirm pride bonds and to keep the bonds strong between the pride members as they get older. And this glorious big male lion lying right next to us. Look at that one playing with the stick. Oh, there's another big yawn. Ooh, big teeth. Oh, look at this. Going on an adventure. Oh, the cub's annoying dad, or one of the fathers. There's the one who's gone on an adventure. Now, the ladybugs would like to know how we found the lions. Well, we were very lucky. There's a water hole not too far from here. And the lion happened to appear at this water hole, which is in front of a camera. So I knew they were there from before starting, so I actually didn't have to track today. So I was lucky. There we go. Females up. The other females are lying up not too far from here. Are you going to follow your mum? Or are you going to stay here in the drainage line? Let's see what happens. There you go. The female's called. You probably find a lot of the cubs are going to follow now. Off they go. Just 3 naughty ones left behind. I hope you guys aren't naughty. Oh, look at this. Now, as the lions get up and move, it's also time for the ladybugs to leave us. It's been wonderful having you, ladybugs. Hopefully, you'll come join us on another live safari very soon. Yeah, I'm going to have to try and get myself out of this drainage system now. The lions are moving up towards Twin Dams Road, so maybe Steph will get a view of them shortly. Off he goes to follow the rest. Hey, why'd you leave me? Ow. Go on, don't get left behind now. Oh, while the lions make their way back up towards the road, we're going to do the same. So let's go see what Steph's up to.
Welcome back, and welcome back to our static hippo. That is probably so lethargic because he's got oxygen deprivation from the lack of breathing that he's been doing over the last hour. We are waiting still for one of those sandgrass to pop up, and they haven't. Not even one has winged his way in here, not even a little bit. And that is a pity. We are waiting in anticipation for this hippo to jump up. And I must be honest, Brent started his car now in that drainage line, and he is a lot closer than I thought he was. Brent is easily about 150 yards, maybe 200 yards from us. The rest is there. And if those lions are getting moving, it's a good chance that they pop out here and they come for a drink, which, of course, is why we're still stuck here, looking at this beautiful hippo in his pond that is reflecting the color of the sky. It's got quite a funny color, almost like a pinkish tinge to it. Have a look at that. Now, Brent is directly behind that dead tree on the right-hand side. So, Oren, you've just asked me how filthy is this water and would I drink it if there wasn't any other water around? I'd absolutely drink it if there wasn't any other water around. I probably would have to boil it first, and that would be to kill all the microbes inside here. This water has just got hippo wee in it and all the feces from every animal, lots of buffalo feces, lots of elephant feces, lots of everything else that's been washed in here by the mud washing off of the animals' legs and all their hooves. But it is water and it is drinkable. If you boil it for about 10 minutes, you would kill everything. At 100 degrees centigrade, there's not much that can live. And so what you try and do is you try and raise the entire water in your billy can to 100 degrees and then drink it. I can't say that it's going to improve the taste at all, but I definitely would drink it with some boiling. I do know some friends of mine that had hardened themselves to all the nasties that occur in the water over here, and they definitely would take a sip of this water without boiling it at all. Have a look at this hippo giving us this beady, beady eye. Now, not only is he not breathing, but he's also not blinking. Yeah, just one little flicker. So Pam, you've asked a nice question. Why doesn't the hippo just keep his nostrils above the water? Why? I mean, if he's not needing to hold his breath, why hold his breath? Pam, that's a good question. I just think it's sort of the aftermarge of these things coming from the ocean and never fully having left the water itself. So hippo is part of the Hippomorpha family of animals that include dugongs and manatees. Something's bothering this hippo. You can see him busy snorting, that alert posture that he's got there. You can see those ears pricked. I think he may have gotten smell of these lions. You might find that the breeze is just wafting onto this particular hippo. And that alert posture, definitely more alert than what he was. Maybe these lions have wafted onto him. Now, so just to finish off that point, I think that these hippo haven't really left the water, really, although they are considered terrestrial mammals or sort of semi-aquatic mammals. And I think that is just the remnants of the days when they used to have to, like whales and dolphins and manatees, holding their breaths for extended periods of time. I think it's just what they do. It's quite amazing. I can hear Brent crashing around in the bushes very close to where we are. This hippo You can see he hasn't relaxed just yet at all. I wonder if he's getting a big lungful of lion. Yeah, he seems to be calming down a little bit over there. Still a young hippo. I mean, the large bull hippos, the largest bull hippos, they almost have these almost deformed skulls. Their canines and their incisors, not their canines, their incisors are massively overdeveloped and almost full their whole skull. I just want to have a quick squiz here through the bush. I don't know if it's just my imagination or what it is, but I caught a tawny glimpse coming in through the bushes there. Might have been a nyala. It's most probably a nyala. And we will see. Alright, Brent's gotten onto the road. I think it would be a good place for you to go and join him.
There we go, wonderful little lion cubs now out in the open. Oh, there we go. Stalk mode. Got some cover. Watching. Sounded like a green pigeon in the tree. Caught their attention for a second. A very brief second. Oh, where are you off to? Little brave one. Oh, well spotted, VM. Those lions are heading towards the pan. Could that hippo be in for some trouble? There's one lioness is already quite far ahead. Now, off they go. Racetrack. Just listening to try to figure out where all the lions are. They're quite spread out. Oh, there we go. Fun and games. Here comes one of the moms. Well, let's keep up parallel with them. Oh, lots of running and playing. Let's catch up with the cubs. Okay, we got one lioness right here. And another one just through the bush. Where's my hat? There we go. There's the female and the male. Oh, I have to go a bit wider. One, two, three, four. Now, where's number 5? Whereabouts? Yeah. Where's Amber Eyes? Oh, we're being approached. Hi, Birdie in Georgia. Birdie's wondering whether if I let the final control crew see the cubs as promised. Ah, Birdie, you know what? I decided they didn't deserve it. Of course, I'm joking. We went and had a look at the Nkahuma cubs and Karula and her cubs. Oh, the lion piled up there. Okay, let's get back up ahead. It looks like they might come join Steph. Ngoma out of the Shkova and heading towards the Mati. But while we get up ahead of these lions, let's go see what it's looking like from Steph's position.
And finally, the sandgrass came in. This is the first, hopefully, of many that is a female double-banded sandgrass. I thought it would be a male that would come in, but in actual fact it's a female, which probably tells me that they're not breeding right now. And she's waiting to walk down to the water to go and slake her thirst. They are dryland specialists. I'm just so happy that we get to see one before the close of the show. With a couple of minutes left, and one came winging in low over the horizon. And she landed a bit further away, and now she's walking down to the edge of the pan. Hopefully, rocketed off there. Something gave her a fright. What a pity. I thought that she'd come and drink. All right. My head getting in the way, Brian, bombing me over there. Anyway, we're going to send you over to Brent. He's got the lions approaching the pan. See you in a bit.
So here we go. So 4 lionesses visible. And 1 male, so Amber's still missing. But we are going to stay a little bit longer this evening to see what happens when they get to the pan, because that hippo is still there and they are heading straight for the pan. So there could be a bit of pandemonium. Now, I don't think the lions know that the hippo is in the pan. So those 2 that are going past us now are going to be the first to arrive. They're the little ones. Just that last little bit of... Oh, them literally right next to me. Hello. Sneaky. Didn't even see you sneak up on me. Oh, Vim, that one's giving you the eye. So you'll notice we're not putting on any of our lights. So if the pictures do become a little bit blurry or whatnot, we're not going to put any lights on while we're with the cubs. Okay. Oh, on to Dad. Not a good idea. He's grumpy at the moment. So you'll... Okay. So as you can see, where we are sitting compared to where the dam cam is that I don't think the lions are aware. There's Steph. And Steph's right there. I don't think the lions are aware that there's a hippo in there just yet. So there we can just make out the hippo. And we come out of it, you'll see Steph next to the waterhole and the lions heading that way. Oh, he nearly ran under the car. Hello. Yeah. Talking. He almost went right under the car. Oh, sorry. It's going to be really interesting to see when they do get to the water hole. Okay, so now you're going to be having a look what Steph's seeing
between the Scopsow's call
of us. Hi, guys. And the lions. Okay, so there we go. Now, the cubs might actually get there before any of the adults, but the adults are not far behind. There's that hippo. I wonder if we can hear these lions calling and making noise all around us. Here we go, there's another one passing right next to us. This could get very exciting. Okay, so all the lions are past us, and they're going to arrive with Steph shortly. We're going to move around to be in a better position to see what happens at the pan. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, madam. Lions popping up everywhere. Okay, so we're going to keep all the lights to a minimum. As you see, we're not putting on any lights like we normally would, and that's because the cubs are here. Now, Rita is wondering, would the hippo not hurt the cubs? There is a possibility. The cubs are about to arrive, so I think Steph's in the best position. So I think let's go across to Steph to see what his view looks like.
And after pretty much an hour and a half of sitting at this pan, these lions have, as predicted, finally come up to the water, with the cubs actually approaching the water first, which is very, very bizarre. The mom, as she arrived, was calling all the time, trying to reassure her cubs that it's safe. This hippo is still in the water. Look at him there. Just realized there's some lions behind him. There, the big male's coming up the back. That hippo definitely might get a bit feisty, but is quite safe in the middle of his pond. Everyone's slaking their thirst after having a nice day of relaxing in a tamboti thicket. Oh, look at these little cubs. There's one on the branch above the hippo. Have a look at this little guy, just taking chances. Busy growling at that hippo. Feisty youngster. Showing that hippo who's boss. Oh, that is such an awesome view. We've just been so blessed today around this particular pan. Big male now coming in for a drink. The lion's still fairly wary. Yeah, mom just dealing out some punishment. Keeping all the cubs in check. All right, we're going to send you over to Brent. He's got slightly better lighting for this sighting. See you in a bit.
So it looks like the hippo is safe and sound in his little wallow. And with these lions around, probably not going to move at all. But look at the cubs running around in the dam. Big fun games, but it looks like the pride is going to head out towards possibly where those buffalo move to it. And what a wonderful, wonderful day it's been with the Nkahumas. And I think they're going to hang around the pan for a little bit, but I do think they are going to move off. And we're going to do the same. As you say, we can't follow them at night because of the age of the cubs. So it has been absolutely splendid. from Steph, Brian, myself, Vim, and the rest of the Safari Live team, it's been wonderful having you, and we can't wait to do it all again tomorrow morning. So let's have one last look at the lines before we bid you a fond farewell.